Hello, beautiful souls. Welcome back to the Pet Lover Summit. My name is Iena, SpiritWalker, and I'm here to introduce you today to the amazing Kathleen Prasad. And the title of this episode is called Letting the Animals Lead. And I'm going to let you know a bit more about Kathleen. Kathleen Prasad is a founder of Animal Reiki Source and president of the Shelter Animal Reiki Association, also known as SARA, a Reiki practitioner and teacher for over 24 years. She has pioneered the profession of Reiki for animals, creating the Let Animals Lead method of Animal Reiki. Kathleen is also the author of several books on Reiki for animals, including Heart to Heart with Horses, An Equine Lover's Guide to Reiki, and Reiki for Dogs. Her nonprofit, SARA, shares and teaches Animal Reiki for rescued animals and their caregivers in shelters and sanctuaries around the world. Kathleen enjoys life with her husband, daughter, dog, and horse in Northern California. Welcome, Kathleen. Thank you so much for being here with us today.
So happy to be here. Thank you so much for inviting me.
I'm so excited. You have such amazing stuff that we're going to cover today. Do you want to share with us how did you first come about letting the animals lead? How did this come to you?
Well, it's sort of, first I'll say like that letting the animals lead is really in the realm of healing,
Yes.
and we talk about healing ourselves and we talk about the journey of healing and what that might look like for each individual. But as you know, we love our animals and they are family. And
Yes.
Their journey is our journey and our journey is their journey. We're intertwined. And so I really, in my own healing journey, and Reiki has been central to that for the last 24 years, but I found my passion was really helping animals, and specifically shelter animals, which is what inspired my nonprofit, SARA. So
Beautiful.
Really being able to kind of, I guess, trust and surrender, I guess that's another word, when your animal is sick and when they're not feeling well, and really being able to sort of allow. So for me, it's really about letting the animals lead. It's really about holding space, like learning how do I hold space for them in a way that supports their healing journey.
Yes.
Whatever that looks like. And ultimately that is about trusting their wisdom and surrendering to their agency in this unique journey that they take with us.
Right. That's beautiful. And for people who might not be familiar with the phrase, I use it a lot too, but people who are not familiar with the phrase holding space, can you explain that a little bit more?
Yeah. So the way that phrase kind of came to me was through my practice of energy healing with Animal Reiki. And normally Reiki for humans is a much more active kind of process with hand positions, right? Any of you have gotten a Reiki treatment, you lay down on a massage table. There's different hand positions the practitioner uses. And so, when I started to realize that animals also are, feel better with Reiki, I immediately put my hands on them and it was like an active process. But then some animals were very sensitive, like shelter animals who had come from past trauma, animals who didn't trust people. And so I found myself taking a step back to help the animals feel comfortable, and taking a step back and taking a step back. And so I sort of had to go back away from the ritual of Reiki and into the meditation, sort of the roots, let's say the Japanese roots of the practice, which is Reiki as a spiritual practice. And that's like a meditative practice. And so in meditation, it's really about breathing, being present with an open heart, letting go of our worries, our fears, right? About things that are our expectations about, what's going to happen. and even, our wishes and hopes and all of that, right?
Right.
And really
Right.
being
That's
able,
huge.
to just be there in this moment with your animal with an open heart and let go of that, all that other stuff.
Mm-hmm.
If we are in that other space, we're not really with the animal. We're
True.
in our own head about, what do I need to do? Where is this going? What's going to happen? Oh my God, emotions, chaos. And so holding space is really about that quiet peacefulness that comes from just being with the animal instead of thinking about like trying to fix the animal. But what I learned really was that animals feel better when we stop doing things to them and we learn how to just be with them. And think about your own animals. That's what they do for you when you're not feeling better, right? They're just
True.
with you. They're just by your side. They're and they're not trying to fix you.
That's so true. Yep.
But that's how they so it's kind of like for me, holding space in the context of this practice, the animals showed me how to do this. So it's like I'm letting them lead me back to that quiet inner wisdom that I forgot because I was so busy doing things. You know what I mean?
Yes. The human mind. Okay. I love that. Okay. So what does that look like when you are helping an animal with Reiki and you're allowing them to lead? What does that look like for you? What's that experience?
So, it looks different depending on what species of animal, where the animal lives, So I'll give you some different sort of scenarios. So first of all, we always try, myself, my students, all of us who practice this, is we try to meet the animal where they are. So that means, if it's a cat or a dog in somebody's house, are they in their favorite bed or on their favorite windowsill in the sun, or maybe it's in the backyard?
Yes.
Wherever that is, to not disturb them and take them for a treatment or something like that, but to just sort of let them be where they feel comfortable and not really disturb them. And then I would set myself somewhere at enough of a distance that I'm not disturbing them with my presence. So usually it might be 10 feet away or 15 feet away, and I'll just sit down. So I might sit on a couch, or I might sit on the chair, might sit on the lawn in the backyard, something like that. And depending on the animal, I might not even face them. Like if I'm working in a shelter, like let's say I'm in a shelter with dogs and there's a specific dog they asked me to work with, and I sort of sit a few feet outside the kennel, and I notice that they're a little bit unsure. I might turn sideways or even turn my back to them. I think about how my physical presence affects them, and I want to make sure that I start this whole process in a place that feels safe for them. So for a horse, it might be I'm standing in a pasture, right? And or I might be outside, just outside the fence, because maybe they come from an abusive past and they don't trust people. So if I'm in their pasture, even if their space, they're worried. So I would step out and they say, okay, well, they're outside the fence. I think I'm safe now. So there's a lot of troubleshooting. If you're in a sanctuary with exotic animals like the Care Foundation in Florida, where I love to go, there's tigers and they're in their big play area. I would find a place to sit where I'm not disturbing their peace and their space. That's the first thing, is to really think about, a lot of times you think, oh, well, I'm trying to help the animals. So we march in there with good intentions and we're immediately like taking over.
Yes. Like, but
I want the animals to really lead. So that means I want to start from far enough back that I'm not disturbing them, and then let them close the space.
Yes.
If they want to connect with me, and maybe they don't, in which case they might walk off, and that's okay too. But I'm kind of putting myself in that space where they choose, do I want to connect with the space, the holding of space? Do I want to come in and share that peacefulness? Or do I not want to? That's for them to decide, not for me to decide. Whereas a lot of times we're like, okay, this animal needs some healing. I'm going to go in, I'm going to do this session. So this approach is very much, I'm going to go inward to a meditation, to quiet my mind, to calm my emotions, to shift my energy into a space that feels calm, that's full of compassion. Again, like I said before, letting go of my expectations. I don't have an agenda. I'm not here to fix you because there's something wrong with you. I'm just in this moment. That's it. I'm just here with an open heart, right? I have to use my meditation to get there. Okay.
Yeah.
So then they can either step in and share that space or not. And they might, what it looks like is they might physically step in. So they might actually come. A horse walks all the way across the field and puts their head over the fence and just sticks their head in your chest, So beautiful.
Aww.
It might be the cat comes and sits right next to you, or the dog comes and crawls in your lap. They might actually physically go, yeah, I'm coming in to share.
Yeah.
Or
I'll take some of that. Thank you.
What it also can look like is they just relax.
Yeah.
And so like if you're with a tiger and the tiger is pacing, and then they kind of, and then they just sort of lay down and yawn and just go into a tiger nap. I've seen that happen so many times. And
I
so
love that.
You can see, depending on the animal, like what their comfort is and what they decide, but there's this, you can see this feeling of well-being that just rises up and just really, you feel it in yourself too. Yes. And the animal, it displays it and shows it, and they're just feeling better. They're just feeling calmer and, and so, we often think that to help our animals heal, we've got to like do something. And there certainly is, we need to take them to the vet, and there may be treatments and medications and things that we have to do. But for me, this animal Reiki practice is about discovering the power of presence, and how actually doing nothing at all is the biggest gift we can give them in healing. And so it's kind of counterintuitive, but but you can see from the animals, like shelter animals. This is why SARA, my nonprofit, is my passion, because shelter animals stress, right? If you think of animals in a shelter, what do you think of? Stressed out animals, right? So
trauma and stress,
being able to go in and to sit in a space with 20 dogs in kennels and meditate and just hear them all stop barking, they all stop pacing, they sit down, they lay down, some of them go to sleep, and then you can hear a pin drop.
Oh, that's amazing.
It's just, it's the most humbling feeling, and all it is the power of presence, because animals are so sensitive to energy, and they don't want to feel stressed. They want to feel good. We just have to give them that opportunity to remember everything's okay. We're just leading them back into that balanced space that they crave. They don't want to feel bad and be totally stressed out.
Right. Oh my gosh, so many things are going on in my head right now. But yes, it's always about, just to reiterate what you're saying, you're cultivating peace and calm within yourself, and it's radiating out. And the animals are so sensitive that they are feeling it, and their stress and tension goes down as well. And I was so excited when I found you, because I just recently started working at a horse shelter, a horse rescue, actually. And these animals are rescued from like meat markets and meat. Yeah, it's a horse rescue. So the animals are traumatized. And I instinctively just stood out. Like normally when I had worked with animals in the past, had gone up to them. And in this instant, I stayed outside of the corrals. There were about a dozen of them, every single one. And just as you said, I was just cultivating peace within myself, and the horses started laying down, and the caretakers were like, what? These horses never lay down. They're like taking videos of me walking the stall. It was such a cool experience. And that was the first time for me. And I love that you're like, oh yeah, this is the way to do it. So when I found you, I was like, thank you, universe. Okay, we love it. And they're, yeah. Anyway, so I'm reminded of so many different practices that are all very similar, like Ho'oponopono. Hawaii Ho'oponopono is really about healing within yourself to, bring about healing that's surrounding you. So I love that.
And I think it's so beautiful to bring that, because really Animal Reiki is just another door into that same room of compassionate healing. And there's so many different methods that utilize that beautiful peacefulness to really harness that healing possibility. And so, yeah. And I love your story about the horses just laying down. I mean,
it was so fun.
We don't realize how much power we actually have in just what we radiate, the energy that we give off, and how important that is. I mean, we all give off energy all the time. And so, for me, the Let Animals Lead method is about, how do I cultivate a peaceful, calm energy to radiate all the time? Yes. Because I want to choose what I'm radiating, right? I want to be mindful and think about it. Not just
even exactly.
chaos,
it's just choosing your words to heal or harm. Same thing with the energy. And it's a very mindful practice. And it's definitely something, I have to say that, there's themes that are coming through in the summit, which is really awesome. I love when the universe does that. And basically it's like better human, better animals. Like that's one of the themes that's coming through. Like, check this, make yourself centered and calm. And guess what happens? Your animals benefit, everybody that and when you're doing healing work, amazing healing work like yourself, 1,000-fold, 10,000-fold. That's amazing.
And the animals are inspiring us to be better people too, because a lot of us would never have found this path of healing or been interested in it. I know I wouldn't have ever found this, except that our animals pulled us along and said, come with me. My animals have this healing journey, and I'm like, oh, I guess I have to walk this scary road with them, but then we learn so much and we become better people. It teaches us so many lessons. So the animals are also leading us to be better people. And any time I believe that we work with energy, we have to let the animals lead, because no matter how much we study and practice and think we know best, the animals are just better at this, at reading energy, at sensing energy, at understanding energy, at utilizing energy. Animals are the masters. We're just students trying to learn. And so when I kind of realized that at some point along in my Reiki journey with working with people, it was very different. And when I worked with animals, it was like a whole nother level. And I'm like, oh my God, I'm clueless. I don't know what I'm doing. How can I lead this process?
Right. Yeah.
And so being able to just admit that and let the animals take over, and just all I'm doing is really trying to hold that space so that they can, bloom in that space, because they already know what they need and what they need to do.
Oh my gosh, I love that. And it's really, I don't know, this is just my opinion, but I think one of the reasons, as you said, the animals are masters at it is because they're present. Humans, not so much.
And
what am I having for dinner today? What did I turn the oven off?
We've done it to ourselves, because, we're animals too, ultimately, but we've gotten so disconnected now. I believe it's in there. And that's, to me, when we do our meditation practice, we're reawakening that sensitivity and knowledge that is buried so deeply. But you're right, animals just live in that space. And if they're not living in that space, most of the time it's because of something a human did, frankly. That's, been
True.
my
Oh
experience.
my gosh.
You know,
110%. Yeah.
and so don't we owe it to them as human beings
I
to
love that.
make amends to them for that, even though it wasn't us personally, but we're part of that dominating species that's wreaking havoc. So to me, like, this whole practice is totally about making amends to this planet, and by cultivating and being the best human that we can be, we owe it to them. Absolutely.
Yes. Yes. Oh my gosh, I love that. Oh, my heart is just like, woo, so overflowing with love for you right now. Do you have like a suggestion? What if there's someone, for example, who doesn't know Reiki, but they want to be present for their animals? What do you recommend?
So, I have books, like you mentioned, my book, Heart to Heart with Horses, and then my book, Reiki for Dogs. And I have a lot of meditations in there that you can really start right away. And one of them in the Reiki for Dogs book is the Healing Pond meditation. And I'm going to offer that to your listeners for free as a gift for listening in. So there'll be a link for them to sign up and get that for free.
Yes.
And the idea is, a lot of my meditations are based in nature, because animals are so close to nature. So we're trying to, with our visualizations and getting in the space, we're trying to like be in the space where animals feel comfortable and where they are. So we're kind of meeting them in their space. So in nature. And the idea of the healing pond is that we pour all of our compassion and our love and all, peacefulness and all that stuff. We pour all of that into this beautiful pond. So I kind of walk you into this place in nature, in this pond, and we put all of that there. And then we just invite the animals to come and drink. And the idea of it is, not doing anything to them, but just giving them the space to choose. And so so this particular meditation is a great way to practice that very gentle intention that creates a lot of trust. Because if you're doing a meditation with the animal and you're like beaming healing to at this and that problem, oh, my animal has stomach problems, I'm beaming light to their stomach. Animals who are very sensitive will be like, oh, how dare you, and they'll like run away. And so we have to learn, I mean, even though we mean well, but we have to learn how do I train my mind to stop pushing my agenda. And so the healing pond is a great place to start with learning how to hold space and give the animal the freedom to choose, which is so important because they're independent beings. They're wise, sentient beings, and they deserve to be listened to be heard, and to have agency over their own sort of whether they want to step into that energy connection or not. That's so important to give them that choice.
Agreed. And I absolutely love that. And I'm just thinking about when I was trained for Reiki, and we were told, ethics 101 is just because I always tell my students, just because you can doesn't mean you should. Like, you ask permission. And I think, as you said, a lot of times people, when they're working with animals, they don't ask permission. They just go in, and they absolutely deserve the right and the choice to lead in their own healing. And thank you so much for bringing that to us today and for bringing that to the planet. I'm so grateful that you're here. Yes, thank you. And so Kathleen already told you about the awesome gift that she has for you, and the link is below. And also, Kathleen, how can people find you? Will you please let them know your website as well?
Yes, my website is animalreikisource.com, and Reiki is spelled Reiki, and the link I'm sure will be below here too.
The link is below.
And
awesome.
that has a lot of articles about this whole idea of letting animals lead. I also offer online training in level 1, 2, and 3 of the Let Animals Lead method. So every 2 months I have new sessions going on. So depending on when the date that you're seeing this, there'll be a session coming up. And also, I want to invite your viewers to visit my nonprofit if you have a passion for helping rescued animals, Shelter
Mm.
Animal Reiki Association.org.
Okay, we'll put that below as well.
We have over 200 members that are volunteers, and they volunteer in shelters and sanctuaries and rescues all over the world, bringing this beautiful meditative practice of love and compassion to the animals and also to the caregivers who often face
Beautiful.
burnout and compassion fatigue. So.
Yes, they need it too.
Don't forget the people.
Yes, the people. Oh, yes, the people. We matter too. How about that? Kathleen Prasad, thank you so much for being here on the Pet Lover Summit today and sharing your wisdom and just bringing your energy to the animals and allowing us a tiny little look inside your world and giving us some tips so that we can bring that to our animals as well. Thank you so much for being here. We appreciate you. We love you. And yeah, thanks.
You're very welcome. Thank you so much for having me. Blessings.
Thanks,
Everybody.
Kathleen. Many blessings.